Knott's Berry Farm, located in Buena Park, California, has been my home park ever since I was born. And since it's my home park, I have a lot of experience with the coasters there. And since I have a lot of experience with them, I've got a good feel for all of them. And I've noticed what the best elements are on each of them. And that's going to be the topic of today's video. The best elements on Knott's Berry Farm's coasters. Besides Timberline Twister, of course. Before this video gets started, I like to say this is just my opinion and you do not have to agree with these. And this is in no particular order. This is simply just naming off the best elements of a said coaster. But anyways, let's get started. Let's start with the park's Mock Loudmouse, and the best element on Coast Rider is that first drop. Coast Rider is highly regarded as just not being a good coaster, but personally I enjoy it now since I learned how to kind of just give myself some room, and I'm personally quite skinny, so the shin guards don't bother me too much, and this is a pretty enjoyable ride. But that drop is actually pretty fun. Even though it doesn't provide much airtime or do anything, it's still a fun element that's great for a coaster like this. Jaguar is the park's Zero to Volley coaster, which is a very interesting one as it has many straight sections and goes over pathways and wraps all the way around the park. It's a very interesting coaster, and sure, this coaster doesn't have too many outstanding moments. I would say the most fun one is that helix over the waterfall right after the first drop. This part is my favorite since it goes over the water fountain, which is a very cool moment, and also this pulls a good amount of laterals for being a family coaster, and just going around the footpath just in a circle looking at the people down below while experiencing laterals is actually a very cool moment, since like I said, it's a good amount of laterals for a family coaster and it's some cool park interaction. Pony Express is the park's Zamperla Moto coaster, which is a pretty good family coaster and is great for someone who's looking into a launch coaster and wants to get used to launches on a coaster. While this ride doesn't do much, I would say definitely the best element is that airtime hill right before that turnaround in the tunnel. This moment doesn't really do much, but it does provide you with some decent floater, and it's also pretty fun to experience that airtime in a motorcycle riding position. It's a very unique sensation, and it's actually quite fun. Even though this ride doesn't do much, I would say that overall this ride in general, especially that moment, is very fun. Sierra Sidewinder is the park's mock spinning family coaster, and while this may be a family coaster, it's quite an intense one, and all the moments on this ride are pretty much very intense for a family coaster, but I would say definitely the best moment and also the most intense moment is that helix. That helix going towards the ground is absolutely insane for a family coaster, and it really feels like your face is about to scrape against the floor. It gets so close to there, and I'm shocked that it is that close because really it feels like that you can just reach out and touch those rocks below you. It really doesn't feel like it has wide enough clearance, which obviously it does, but it really doesn't feel like it, and like I said, especially for a family coaster, it pulls a crazy amount of positive G's. Whether you have a balanced car or unbalanced car, it will feel crazy no matter what on that moment. Montezumas Revenge is the park's Schwarzkopf shuttle loop with a flywheel launch system. This is a very iconic coaster as it's one of the few Schwarzkopf shuttle loops operating, and it's the only one left operating in America. And also, it's the only one to not be relocated. It is still in its original spot. But anyways, the best moment on this coaster without a doubt with me is that backwards vertical loop, especially in the back row. Going forwards through it is already pretty sweet, with it pulling a good amount of positive G-forces. But going backwards is a whole other story. You're kind of lost and you don't really know where you're going, and pulling an extreme amount of positive G's like it does is just crazy. And even though recently it hasn't been pulling too many positive G's as it normally does, it used to be more like 5, now it's more like 4.5, it's still very cool going backwards through that vertical loop, and you can't really experience it on too many other coasters. So I definitely recommend riding Montezumas Revenge specifically for that backwards loop. It's a very cool sensation. Accelerator is the park's Intamin Accelerator coaster and is actually the first one ever built. This was the first coaster in the world to use a hydraulic launch, and it is the prototype model for the Accelerator, and this is the same model that King Ka is and Top Row Dragster. Now, this ride is very good and has some great moments. There is no dull moment on this ride, but I would have to say without a doubt the best moment on this ride is that first launch. Especially in the front row, that thing is crazy. It is over quite quickly, and that's why I'm not as big of a fan of it as I used to, but it's still a lot of fun feeling that much force and accelerating that quick, like to that high of a speed in such a quick amount of time, with feeling like you're getting hit by a semi-truck in like the best way possible, and it's still a great launch. Hang Time is the park's Gerstar Infinity Coaster / dive coaster, as it's the first dive coaster on the West Coast. It's an absolutely incredible ride, and every single moment on this ride is great. There's no dull moment on this ride, just like Accelerator. But I'd say without a doubt, the best moment on this ride is the first drop. Just falling at a 96-degree angle is just absolutely incredible. This drop is great for the unobstructed view in the front row, but in the back row you get absolutely yonked over that first drop, and you get an extreme amount of ejector airtime. And it's overall just a great moment hanging over that drop before diving down and getting absolutely ejected out of your seat, and it's without a doubt one of my favorite drops of all time. Silver Bullet is the park's B&M invert and is one of the most underrated coasters I've ever ridden. It's actually pretty intense and it's a super enjoyable ride experience going over the footpaths. And this may be a controversial opinion, but I will have to say that the best moment on this ride is the first vertical loop. What am I talking about, first vertical loop? There's literally only one vertical loop on this ride. What am I talking about? But yeah, anyways, this vertical loop is actually super fun. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just overall one of my favorite inversions. It's just very fun. I don't know what it is. It's just very large. It pulls an extreme amount of positive G's. I can't really say much about it. It's just one of those things you have to experience for yourself. It's just a really fun inversion, and overall it's just a great moment on this ride, but I'd only say it's a tad better than all the other moments on this ride, because I would say every single moment on this ride is equally as good to each other, but I don't know what it is about that vertical loop. It's just my favorite moment on this ride. Coastrider is the park's CCI wooden coaster, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So phenomenal, in fact, it's actually my overall #1 coaster. This coaster has so many great moments, including great moments of airtime and laterals. But I'd say without a doubt, the best one on this coaster, and if it wasn't obvious enough because everyone says this, is the drop off the mid-course. You're experiencing an insane amount of airtime. You're experiencing sustained ejector airtime, and there's even wooden supports right above your head, so it feels like your head and hands are going to get chopped off. So it's a great near miss effect while you're getting sustained standing ejector airtime, and it just makes for an incredible moment, and it's probably the best moment on a coaster in Southern California. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like, and if you want to see more videos from me, be sure to subscribe. But anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time here on GeForce Wheels.